Welcome to a journey, a story to be told, where lives and hearts unfold. It's more than just a label, it's our identity. Breaking free, discovering who we're meant to be. Beyond the binary, we shine so bright. With every step we're taking flight. In every voice, a truth to find. Beyond the binary, we're redefining life. So tune in and join the ride. With love and pride, we're side by side. Beyond the binary, together we'll see the beauty in our diversity. Join the ride with love and pride. We're side by side beyond the binary. Together we'll see the beauty in our diversity. Yeah. The beauty in our diversity.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Binary. I'm your host Julie and I'm with my amazing, lovely host Chloe. How are you doing, Chloe?
I'm good, thank you, Julie. I'm really excited for today's episode. Today we're diving into everyday realities of navigating life as a transgender person. This is such an important topic because while the big milestones in a transgender journey get a lot of attention, it's the day-to-day experiences that really sort of shape how you live and how you feel. And me personally, I don't know too much about, what that routine would entail. So first of all, with the basics, how did your morning routine change after you transitioned? So from day one, what aspects became a bit more meaningful or empowering to you that helped you go about your day?
Well, in my case, I am male to female, and I had a beard, like a nice beard. So what changed a lot when I actually came out was the fact that I had to shave more often. Eventually I went into laser because it's more practical instead of shaving every day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the first thing I changed, and then of course more came after.
Mm-hmm. Was the laser surgery, laser hair removal, I'm sorry. Was that expensive? Or would you think that's something that's quite maintainable for everyone? Or do you think that's, kind of like a luxury? And do you think shaving might be okay just, for people getting started?
Well, you gotta see it like this. This entire process is very expensive. It's not a cheap process. It will never be cheap. Like me, I paid around 175 euros per session. So it depends on how many sessions you have, on how much it will cost. So you have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, definitely. And do you feel, as that being the first step in your routine, were there questions from family or friends, oh, this is a big change, or were you shaving before your, first day of being the real you? How did that come about?
Well, I didn't like my beard at all back in the days. I had a beard because I was fighting myself to become the real me. So I had a beard. Sometimes I was bald, like completely bald, not like that, but like you could, if you put like a roller against my hair, it would say like maybe 1 centimeter. That's short. But yeah, I always fought against it until I couldn't fight anymore. So it wasn't like, oh, you don't have a beard anymore. More shock, no. Because some days I had a beard, some days I didn't.
Yeah. So it wasn't too much of a shock for everyone else around you. But how about the maintenance for you to know that you now have to every single day, maintain that appearance? Has that been quite, a burden on you, or do you think you've sort of adapted to it quite nicely?
I mean, from where I started to where I am now, I think I've adapted quite nicely. Because it you gotta see it like this. Every time you do something, you always get better at it. So in the end, you just become a master,
yeah, I guess with enough experience and hours behind I couldn't imagine having to do it every single morning. I mean, my hair grows back really, really quickly, and I have quite dark hair. So I know the pain of having to shave every single day. Um, but it sounds like you've got it more under control than I do, like with the laser hair removal, and like now you only have to shave once a week. Like, I'm actually jealous of you.
Well, you can also get like laser hair removal. Like, it's expensive, but
And painful, I hear.
painful. Yeah, it's painful in a way, but it depends from person to person. And if you actually use the cream they recommend, you
Mhm.
shouldn't feel anything.
Which is what something we would recommend to everyone to use. Make sure you use the cream provided before you go to your session, because some people don't do that and they get burnt.
I didn't get burns, only my tongue. And sorry, but I'm not putting cream on my tongue, you know.
No, that's fair enough. I feel like that's a them problem, not a you problem.
Skill issue.
So definitely. So obviously the hair was a big thing for you to keep under, control. After that, after you've made sure, your skin's nice and smooth, what's the next step in your routine for the morning before you go out?
Well, of course, dress the part.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta look nice and clean. You
Yeah.
can't keep wearing your boyish outfits, you know, because people
Mm-hmm.
do judge you on that one. It's like, I think for me that has been the hardest part, you know, the fact
Mm.
where people judge me on what I'm wearing, because most of the times I'm wearing merch stuff. I'm wearing
Yeah.
stuff from Twitch streamers, music artists, and all that stuff.
Which usually are unisex anyway, aren't they?
They are unisex, but
Yeah.
people often see it more as a boyish thing to do, which is
Right.
completely weird. Because,
Mm.
like, hey, you can rock an Elvis Presley shirt, you can
Mm-hmm.
rock a Nina Nesbitt shirt, or you can even put, like, Pokimane on your t shirt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't change the fact that it's unisex. You shouldn't judge people on that one.
Hmm.
But people just judge, you know?
It's
Like,
such a strange thing. I mean, especially with fashion and how, I mean, it's currently trendy to dress more masculine. You want the boxy, and I'm no authority on this because I'm old. I no longer fit in with the Gen Z crowd. But my
you're
little
younger
sister,
than I am.
yeah, but I have a baby sister. She's 21 tomorrow. And so she's the authority on fashion. She says to me, Chloe, your jeans are too form fitting. I'm like, don't I want to show off my figure? No, they've got to be boxy, straight boyfriend jeans, big baggy tops. And I'm like, that's a really masculine way to dress. So it's kind of hypocritical for people to judge you for, dressing that's something that really is kind of in trend right now.
Well, it wasn't always in trend, you know? Like,
Mm,
I think 2 years ago,
yeah.
that was definitely not in trend, but I
Yeah,
keep
no, it's a
getting
very
judged.
recent thing.
Like,
Mm.
as you can most likely see, my shoulders are a bit wider than the typical lady shoulder. I'm also a bit taller than most of the ladies.
How
So,
tall are you?
186.
I do feet in inches. I'm sorry, that means nothing to me.
Yeah, that was so in feet I would be 6.2 ish.
So model height then. So female model height.
Well, a bit taller, yeah.
Hmm.
So that's already pretty annoying because I am very tall with wider shoulders, which makes it harder for me to find like a jacket that's not unisex.
Right.
So I have kind of been wearing the same jacket. It's not the same. I have multiple of those, by the way. Just
Mhm.
to say, to make it clear. But like,
Were
they
you
look.
fashion police out there? Drink up a Julie.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they all look the same because it's the same color and all that. But it's like, it's the only jacket that at the moment fits me. Because I've been
Hmm.
trying so many jackets to look more feminine. Like, because people judge the fact that I'm still wearing that jacket, but hey, I
Right.
have multiple. Like, okay, you never bought two two of the same items in a store.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I have a dress that I liked one color of it and I loved how it fit, so I was like, I'm just gonna get one every single color. Same as bikinis. There's
Yeah,
only
but
one that I like,
you
so I
bought
got all of them.
you bought every color. I just bought the same color.
Don't. Oh right. Well, I like to have a rainbow of things depending on my mood.
Yeah, but if you have to pick white or gray, I
Mm.
pick gray because white gets dirty so much.
Oh yeah, and to wash it, like you can't wash it with everything else. You have to keep it separate. It's so much hassle. Gray's so much easier.
Exactly. So it's gray. But yeah,
We love
like
practicality.
you basically get judged on your outfits if you go out. So I had to change how I dressed, which I did, except of course for the jacket because I cannot find a jacket.
We have to be practical in these situations. So, in terms of dysphoria, did it help you actually sort of? It wasn't a nice experience, imagine having to dress a certain way, but did it help at all to, to be dressing in more feminine clothes, to be going out into the world and feeling a bit more confident in yourself?
It's not always nice to be pushed, you know.
Yeah.
When I met my best friends, who we'll have on in a few weeks, it took me almost 3.5 years before I was actually able to meet her dressed as a female.
Right.
Just because I was scared. I knew she would accept me for me, but I was scared because I'm the one changing everything. I'm the one going out there in a dress, in a skirt, and whatever.
Yeah.
I could be the one that actually gets beaten up.
Yeah.
I could be the one when they see me with that person, they could bully both of us. So I was scared, you know?
Do you think it draws more attention when you wear more feminine clothes yourself, as opposed to if you just wore, what you used to wear?
Say it like this. You go outside in, let's say, jeans and a nice top.
Mm.
People might look at you. They treat you okay. Let's say the same day, the same people are outside, but you decide to wear a dress. A gorgeous looking dress, maybe with some cleavage, you know. Like not too much, but a good amount.
Classy cleavage.
Exactly. What do you think draws more attention?
Definitely cleavage.
Exactly. The
Even
dress
if it's
will
classy.
the dress will instantly draw more attention. But like in my case, I had feeling like I always had to instantly go towards skirts, dresses, because people were always judging me.
Yeah.
But like,
So you were forced into a space that actually exposed you more to that negative attention.
that's how I felt, yeah. Did they really force me? Don't really think so, but they always kept judging me on me dressing too much as a male. Even though like I bought feminine pants and all that stuff. So yeah, it wasn't always
So
the easiest.
I bet. And how do you handle interactions in public spaces, or when you get onto the bus for the day or get into a taxi and you're wearing something that you feel confident in, but you're sort of wary that it might bring negative attention? How do you deal with, situations that may arise from that?
In the beginning, I was always looking if somebody was watching, is always looking out to see who could be a potential threat towards me.
Yeah.
Because we're living in a world where the unexpected can happen, you know. You never know what can happen, you never know what will be. So in the beginning, I was very cautious. Now it's like, if I want to wear a dress, I'll wear a dress, I'll go outside, and I'm just doing my thing. I'm putting in my earphones, turn up some music, I'm just vibing, you know. if people don't like me on the bus or train or whatever I'm going, well, that's their problem. That's not mine. I'm there to live my life the way I want to live it.
Well, that's actually a message that anyone and everyone should listen to. I think it's your life, you're living it. Who cares what anyone else thinks? For those people who might not be in that kind of frame of mind and might still be quite anxious about what other people think of them, do you have any sort of like advice or, some coping mechanisms for them that then receive that kind of negative attention and don't know how to shut it out?
Well, actually, I don't think there's any advice I can give because it's something you have to learn yourself. You have to
Yeah.
learn yourself that some people might never change. Some people might never realize why you're doing it or how you're doing it or what you have been through. It's like when we're talking about this, like I always get back memories. For example, I had a huge discussion with an elderly lady a few years ago. I was wearing a dress on the train, and she came to me and she was like, "Why are you wearing a dress? You should not be wearing a dress." So I started explaining to her like what I was going through, why I was doing what I was doing, and then you could tell on the face of the lady that she suddenly felt ashamed that she came to me that way.
Yeah.
So afterwards, she apologized and left me. But like, it takes a conversation for to actually make them leave, which is kind of
Yeah.
weird in my opinion, you know.
Yeah, it must have been really sort of like it must have taken you aback quite a bit to have that sort of confrontation. Um, and as educational as that probably was for her, and hopefully going forward, she's come away from that thinking, actually, I've been educated and I feel like I should approach these situations a lot more delicately and be a bit more open-minded. That must have still been quite, turbulent for you to have to go through to explain that. Do you find that it's quite emotionally draining to have to explain to people and to educate them all the time?
Well, recently I had an encounter. I'm not sure if I told you about that one, but as I was going home from one of my jobs, I was taking the tram. I bought a ticket, which I always do, but it's like with the phone. So the activation of it can take a couple of minutes. But the stop in between is not even a minute. So you have to keep that in
Right.
mind. So as we arrive on the second stop, the stop within the 1 minute, inspection comes in. We are getting checked our tickets, and he's suddenly like, "Oh, you just activated your tickets, sir." I'm like, "I'm not a sir." "Okay, sir, can I see your ID?" So that's already when I already said once I'm not a sir. But then he still asks my ID, calling me a sir again. Now on my ID it states that I'm a woman. So I give my ID and again I'm stating I am not a sir. He suddenly becomes louder in his speech. "Okay, sir." Keep referring to me as sir.
Even after looking at your ID?
Yeah. So he kept referring to me as sir. So I'm wearing, at that moment, I was wearing makeup. I was wearing a top, pink pants, pink shoes, my hair done, wearing a purse, and just because of the voice, he kept referring to me as sir. Yeah, it's impossible to educate everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you have no clue how humiliated I was at that point because everyone suddenly stares at you like
Oh gosh.
I'm the one who paid my ticket, yet I'm getting a fine that I didn't pay my ticket, plus I get humiliated.
Hmm.
Like, why? Because you just cannot stand transgender people.
And it's so disrespectful to you just as a person to to have you constantly reinstate, no, that is not how I'm referred to, and for that person to just keep going with it, that must have just been, as you say, humiliating, but also just really disheartening. Does it affect you going into future scenarios? Like, do you feel anxious now getting on the tram that something like that might happen again?
It happens every time
Mm.
when there's an incident like that. It always happens because it wasn't the first time it happened. Like their stupid system doesn't activate instantly,
Yeah.
but this was like, I think this was the worst time where he kept saying sir, 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 sir every time, louder and louder and louder.
Mm.
So I don't think he actually was doing his job at that moment. He just wanted to annoy me
Yeah.
and publicly shame me.
Well, I hope you raised a complaint.
I raised the complaint. Yeah,
Have they gotten back to you on it?
yeah, they are looking into it, but like there's camera, but the camera doesn't pick up sound.
Right.
So how can you do
And
anything
didn't
about it?
anyone else on the tram sort of stand
Yeah,
up and say?
one. No, nobody stand up because you don't do that, you know, because they are entitled to do technically whatever they want because they
Yeah.
have badges and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
nobody dares to stand up and be like, "Oh,
To the
leave her
authority.
alone," you know.
Mm.
But I wasn't the only one filing a complaint. No.
Oh, that's okay. That's something. And after that kind of experience, is there any way you de-stress or decompress? Because that must have been quite a heightened emotional situation for you to be in. It would have been quite easy for someone to sort of snap in that situation. Whereas I imagine you, Julie, as always, you stayed relatively calm, in the face of adversity.
Well, on most situations, I can stay very calm.
Mm.
But in this situation, it was starting to get on my nerves.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, you're accusing me of lying when I can prove to you that I paid my ticket and that your system is just trash.
Mm.
That's the first thing. Then you call me sir, and I'm like, no, I'm not a sir. Like, you have my ID in my hands, I'm not a sir. And you keep saying sir. And then you're like, yeah, that's going to be a big fine. Sir? Like, no, no, no. I was pissed. I didn't show him I was pissed because I didn't want him to feel the
The satisfaction
happiness,
from
the
it.
satisfaction, like, yes, I ruined their day. I didn't want to give him that. So I was like, showing that I was calm, but I was fuming up on the inside.
Mm. Did you have anyone you could vent to when you got home after that interaction? Did you, reach out to anyone to sort of, get it off your
When I came
chest?
home, I instantly filed a complaint.
Mm-hmm.
I even told him I was going to file a complaint, and he laughed it away. But like, I instantly filed a complaint with his full name, because I was able to track his full name. I'm not gonna say how because that is not of the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to get his full name, and I contacted his department, being like, "Is this how you should treat people?" And they are looking into it. So, yeah.
Hopefully we have an outcome from that and they get back to you and confirm that, you know, some action has been taken as a result. Because that can't continue to happen. You can't continue to get on the tram and think, okay, is today, going to be another confrontation for me, and no one else.
It is what it is, you know. You get used to it. Like, I don't care about it anymore, because I'm like, fine. If it happens, it happens. Like, it normally doesn't even trigger me.
Yeah. No, you're better than most of us. I would have not been happy in that moment in time, and I don't think I'd have been as calm as you. Um, but in terms of finding support, maybe when you're in an emotional state or when something like that's happened, You've mentioned in previous episodes, and I'd encourage viewers to go and check those out. We have a few out already. Do you turn to your communities in times like this when you need that kind of emotional sort of reassurance from people, or do you think you're more isolated in your routine where it's like, okay, I need to, calm myself down and then sort of switch off and go into that community?
Well, I'm not somebody who talks freely about emotions and all that stuff. I've never been somebody who was like, yeah, I'm feeling very great or very good or very down. I will always say I'm okay. I will always say, like, sure, I'm fine. I'm like a 98% fine.
Yeah. You said that to me just today.
Yeah. So I'm always going to say that instead of how I'm actually feeling. Because, in my opinion, like, and I know I'm wrong in that one, but I don't want to burden people with how I'm really feeling. So most of the times I'm just isolating myself, playing some piano, writing some music, writing some poetry, and then just basically write it off. Like, instead of yelling at somebody, I'm just writing it off.
Yeah, that's such a healthy way of doing it, sort of engaging in creativity, to let off that steam rather than, I mean, we've mentioned before, sometimes people might, after having a bad day, go into communities and sort of the trauma dumping, it's called, isn't it? So while your method, I'd rather you be able to reach out to people. I certainly would love for you to be able to say, actually, Chloe, I'm having the worst day. I want to talk to you. But it's not the worst thing that you have these options available to you and that you've explored with yourself, like what can actually make me feel a little bit better. I mean, I personally write poetry when I'm having a bad day and I post it and then I leave it and I walk away and I feel a little bit better. So I think that's a very human experience to
At
go,
least you post
I
it.
just need to do something. You don't post yours?
If I'm having like a bad day,
Mm.
you don't want to read it. If I'm having a bad day, like I record the songs I'm playing, you don't want to hear those songs. You don't want to see what I write, hear what I write, because if I'm having a bad day, it's a negative song. Like, normally if I play, it's like very positive, happy, birds chirping around, you know. But when I'm negative or something negative happens, I really want to put my frustration into the project I'm doing at the moment, like poetry or music. And you can feel the frustrations in the song, in the poetry, in everything. So I don't share it because then people will be like, oh, what's wrong? Are you looking for attention again? Like, no, I just don't share it, you know.
No, I'm just expressing myself. That's a shame. I think everyone should be able to, have a bad day and creatively express themselves and it not be a big deal. And people just go, yep, that's you're human. You've had a really tough day. Thank you for sharing. That's relatable.
Well, as you see it like this, we live in an age where people don't want to hear the stuff of others. They want to be able to share their stuff, but they don't want to hear stuff from another. That's the
Right.
kind of times we're living in right now. So I'm like, okay, I'm not sharing anything.
Well, I vote that we do a special podcast episode in which you share all of your art and creative outlets.
That's not going to happen. No, 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 no.
Or at least send them to me in private. I'm so curious now. I love poetry. Oh
I'll
dear. So
see what
in
I
terms,
can do.
thank you, thank you. We'll do a poem for a poem, and I'll tell you mine are just as frustration riddles. I'm sure. So obviously we spoke about community, connecting with, people that, you personally don't like to share the burden, but there's always people out there that's willing to listen. And as we've said on every episode before, Julie's created an amazing community in which you can sort of reach out if any of the listeners feel like they need, that extra support or have had a bad day and just want someone to speak to. I mean, me and Julie, we like to play games to de-stress and switch off from the day. We've done it quite a lot in the past. But Julie, in terms of advice, how would you, as a person going through, the trans experience, how would you reach out and start building those connections?
Well, as we discussed in previous episodes, you need to be ready for it. If you're not ready to communicate or connect with people, it will not work. You need to be open to the fact that people might not be nice to you. You must be open to the fact that people might ask weird questions, or that people might even think you're weird. Because if you look at it like this, people don't really know what transgender is. So how can they really act, quote unquote, normal to it? If they don't know what it is, and you're suddenly being like, this is it. But if you're ready for it, and you're ready to connect, and you're ready to indulge in conversation and explain it, then you'll see making those connections is easier. Because if you don't make those connections, you'll feel lonely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Every time I'm going into a new community, the first thing I always do is, especially on Discord, look if there is an introduction room. If there's an introduction room, just write your introduction there. Just be like, this is my name, this is my gender, and then in comment, there's also an option that says comments or extra or whatever. Just put right there that you're transgender. From that moment, you can already see whether people will like you or not. Because if people react with an emote or whatsoever to your post, then you know that people will already accept you for it. Because if people wouldn't react to it, then of course they don't care. If people react to it with a smiley, with a heart, or whatsoever, you already know that's somebody that might be interested in getting to know you.
Yeah.
So then
you
already
found immediately a safe space in that community then.
Exactly. There's one connection already. So it's basically just go with the flow, and don't push it.
And in terms of being upfront and talking about things straight away with people, how would you, in your daily routine, sort of navigate the workplace? What challenges did you face in your professional life? And how did you ensure your identity was sort of respected? And I'm asking you that especially because you've just started a new job. Congratulations. So is there any differences in how you approached it in your last job and in your current job?
Well, navigating through your job life can be very difficult. I came from working in restaurant bar to working technical department of a company, which are two different jobs. And let me say it like this. First time I went to work at my previous work, I had this co-worker, and the first 6 months ish, I completely ignored her. Don't ask me why, but I was not trusting anyone there at all. And I was already working there for 6 months. So then I kind of yelled at her, but afterwards we became friends, and she became one of my favorite people to work with. On the job I'm doing now, it's already way different, because I already know everyone, and I'm already quote unquote friends with everyone,
Yeah.
because I have grown from back then to now. And that's just how life goes. You grow as a person, and as you grow, you become better. Hopefully.
That's such a nice way to look at it. And do you feel in your current work environment that you have that support that you might not have had in previous jobs or previous situations?
Well, in my previous job, there wasn't a lot of transgender people. I think there was a trans man, but he quit the job very quickly after I came. Not because of me, of course. Let me
No.
just let me just make that clear. I did not. I was not the reason why they quit.
Completely unrelated.
Yeah, completely unrelated. Because I know how this goes, and people think, "Oh, you're the one that basically got the fire." No, I had nothing to do with that one. There were other reasons, not to be discussed. But yeah, and here, like in my new job, it's more like they accept me for who I am, what I am. So it works. I can wear whatever I want. I can dye my hair purple if I want, which I couldn't at my previous work.
Which looks fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, it's hard to see on this camera, but my hair is actually purple because lighting and all that stuff. But yeah, it's completely different environments, different works, so it's logical that it's a different mood, you know?
Definitely. And for those in sort of less supportive work environments, what strategies would you suggest, perhaps to protect themselves or make sure that they're treated with the respect that they deserve?
I would say if your work doesn't treat you correctly, go to like the union. If your work doesn't have a union, the only thing I can say is maybe try changing work. Because you deserve to be happy where you work. You deserve to be treated as a human being and not a piece of shit. So find a place where you can feel home. Because like I said previous episode, on my first job ever, I got fired for being transgender. Like, that's not okay.
No.
And nobody should ever be treated badly at their work because of the fact that they're trans. Like, we didn't choose to be trans. We chose to come out and be ourselves. Should I treat you different because you were born in the right body? Like, does that make sense that I would suddenly start pulling you? No. We're human.
And everyone has their basic human rights. And I guess maybe there's an important part of, educating yourself on your rights as a human and to how to be respected in the workplace.
Exactly.
Because
like,
you certainly couldn't be fired under those grounds now. That's a thing of the past, we would
that's
hope.
a thing of the past indeed. When I say I was fired for being trans, that's about
Careful now, Julie. Don't age yourself.
yeah, not to age myself, but it's almost so 3 years there, almost 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So I'm actually kind of old, you know. I'm walking.
No,
with
see, do you know what? I know you aren't old. I was expecting to be able to be fired from the workplace, just for being who you are, would have been a long time ago, not so recent. That's actually surprising to me that that's only a recent change.
Yeah, because then it's so many years ago. Well, it's not that long ago. It's not even 10 years ago. But like, it was a gray zone, and now they made the gray zone black and white.
Yeah.
Now you cannot do it anymore. But back in the day, you could be like, "Oh, you came out. This will damage the reputation of the store. Oh my God, you're fired!" Like, you could just do that without
Yeah.
a blink, you know.
Yeah, there's no repercussions. Whereas now, I imagine there's, you have HR, as you said, you've got the unions, you've got people you can go to that
Well,
you can
now
actually
if they
say,
fire you for being trans, you can actually sue them.
sue them.
You know,
Yeah.
make yourself rich, you know.
Make the most of the situation, which is an awful one.
It's an awful one, but you can at least milk them out.
Benefit from their ignorance.
Exactly.
That's what we like to do. Um, So, in terms of going to work, obviously we're speaking today about routines in particular. Is there anything on your working days, in the morning that you do differently, or when you come home from work that you do differently to what you did before?
No, before the transition, I didn't have to swallow pills.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to swallow pills, like
Mm-hmm.
hormones, of course, and anti-hormones and all that stuff. Pills for my back and all. I went from taking 0 pills to taking 4, 5 pills a day.
Oh gosh, is that difficult to keep track of?
No. I just swallowed them all at once.
I struggle to take one A to Z vitamin a day, so
Yeah, I just take. Are these 5? Yeah, that looks
that'll
like
do.
5. That looks like 5. Chug them in, swallow them in water. It's just that simple, It's just
Yeah.
how it is. You have to take them anyway.
Yeah, I suppose my A to Z, there's not too much of a consequence if I forget to take it, which I haven't actually taken it at all this week. I should probably get around to doing that.
That's not
Um,
good. But for
well,
me, if
no.
I don't take
Mhm.
them, it can cause big troubles.
Yeah. So I imagine that the urgency of needing it done sort of prompts you to make sure that you've got that routine in place. Do you have like a certain time you have to take them, or can you just take them whenever?
I can take them whenever. I got that
All right, you
freedom.
don't have
At
to eat
least I
first.
got nah. At least I got that freedom. I can take them whenever. I have to take them, but I can take them whenever. Yeah, so I got some freedom.
Yeah, yeah. So you can, if you forget in the morning, it's not the end of the world as long as
I'll
you get them
just
down. Yeah.
take them at lunchtime.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you've said there was so much to your routine, so you got to make sure that your makeup's done. You got to make sure that you smell good. You got to make sure that you look good. I'd already forget about having to take the pills. That would have to be a once I get home from work, I'll deal with that kind of situation.
Nah, for me it's super simple, and especially with the new job, it's like I'm at
Mhm.
my desk, and I see my pills laying there, and I'm like, and they're gone.
Mhm.
I'm just taking them
Nice and
as I
easy.
work, like, and then I become more emotional because like the first few seconds of my pills, I somehow become more emotional. I can
Oh, does it
suddenly,
cause your hormones to spike quite aggressively?
from times to times, I start crying the moment I take them.
Wow.
Not sure why that is, but
Maybe
I
it's the anticipation, knowing the emotional like
finally the
roller
pills.
coaster.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
After a long day, you get the pills and you're like, I'm about to go through hell.
Yeah, no.
Oh dear.
Well, I mean, it is so funny to take my pills because I'm just counting them as I take them, or I just swallow them all in one. Also very fun
Oof.
because then you have to make sure they don't stick in your
Yeah,
mouth.
we don't want them lodged.
Yeah, exactly. Um, because that's very funny when you're having a call from somebody who has a technical issue and your pill is stuck. Then it's like
Just one moment, please.
it doesn't work properly.
No, no, absolutely not. So I imagine taking pills, obviously that's part of your daily routine. You've got to make sure you do it. In terms of emotional, mental health, I mean, you mentioned when you take your pills, it's quite a bit of a roller coaster reaction. But is there anything you implement in your routine in terms of self-care, emotionally and physically?
I cry more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I crawl up more as well. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling really sad, I can just crawl up in a corner and rock myself, which sounds kind of depressing if I look
No,
if I
it's a really good self-soothing technique, actually.
but yeah.
I've learned about this. It's very good to rock yourself. It sort of puts you back into that sort of infantile, mindset of I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, you could look at it that way, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's it's different.
Mm. And is there anything you do if you've had a particularly stressful day? If you've like had a really long day, You know, when I come home and I've had a really long day, I have a cup of tea and I get into my pajamas and I read my book. Like, is there anything you do to sort of de-stress
If
and
I
relax?
have a super annoying day,
Mm.
I come home and I basically decide to do two things. Either I'm creating a new cocktail that doesn't exist yet,
Oh, heck yeah.
or I'm launching my PC, opening Counter Strike, and I'm clicking heads.
That sounds good, actually.
Both work pretty good, you know,
Hmm.
because then you suddenly see in chat appear cheater, and then you're like, I ruined that person's day.
Heck yeah, that's what we like to hear.
No, we don't like to hear that one, no.
No, no, no. We're all about acts of kindness, and being calm here. No,
But
no,
being the better
reporting
gamer in a
people.
video game is okay.
Definitely. Um, so video games obviously a great way to de-stress or stress yourself out if you need. They stress me out more than anything, even though I say I love them. They're very painful.
I don't really stress with games. I
Really?
don't think there's a game that actually stresses me.
What about Pico Park?
Pico Park, no, Pico Park is a game where you work together with your friends or your enemies, and that's about it. It's fun
Have you ever
because you.
tried it with your family? I tried it with them and I almost killed every single one of them.
Yeah, it sounds like you are frustrated. You want to share something with the class?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Only when it comes to Pico Park. I'm like, Mum, you've got to jump. And she's like, I don't even know what button it is.
Yeah, I don't have that issue. I play
Mm.
games, almost every game, and I don't even get stressed.
I thought you were going to say you play games with competent people, but then I remembered you actually play games with me, so that was never going to be relevant.
Or maybe you were just competent in that game, you know.
I'd like to know which game that was because I do not remember a single game
Yeah, I
except for
can't say
maybe.
I can't say any game at the moment either, but you know what I mean.
You're awful to me. I'm sure there's one game out there that'll be good at one day. We just have to find it. It'll be PUBG.
Yeah,
I just know it. I feel
it
it
will
in my
be. It's
bones.
definitely PUBG.
It's gotta be. Oh gosh. Talking with you, we're always getting ourselves carried away. It's been really, really lovely, Julie. And I'm sure, you know, your experiences have been really resonating with our viewers and our listeners. We hope, obviously, that everyone's finding our conversations really helpful. As always, reach out to us. Any questions, anything you want to ask us, anything you want to cover. Julie's the most amazing, open, wonderful, lovely person. So, you know, I'm pretty sure you could ask anything and she'd answer you. So you're quite lucky to have her available
Debatable,
to you.
debatable. There's some
I think so.
there's some topics which are also part of daily life that
Mm.
are super hard for me to talk about.
Oh,
That's, for example, pregnancy and having kids.
yeah.
I'm not able to talk with people about pregnancies
No.
or talk about having kids because it's very hard for me. Like,
Mm.
I have a child wish. I want to have kids of my own, or at
Yeah.
least kids, but every step I take to get a child is always getting blocked.
Yeah.
So I am always trying to avoid those kind of conversations because those kind of conversations actually kill me on the inside.
Yeah.
Because, like rudely said, the dumbest people can make kids. The worst parents can have kids.
They really can.
But, like, the person that wants a kid cannot have a kid.
No.
So you can always talk to me about everything except that.
Thank you for being so open and setting that boundary with us.
You're
I
welcome.
didn't know that. So thank you. Oh, I'm getting emotional now. Oh, this happens every week so far. One day we'll get through an episode without me tearing up, I'm sure of it.
You sure about that?
I don't know. don't know. I guess we'll find out next week on our next episode. What is it we're talking about next week, Julie?
Next episode is about building friendships, which is very fitting with today's topic as well. It's basically building friendships and with people and seeing how you can make yourself a better person or more evolved person by being yourself and getting more friends that way.
Okay, that sounds amazing. So we hope to have you all back next week for that episode. Thank you again, Julie, for being here and for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, take care everyone and remember to be kind to yourself and everyone else. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.